Hey there everyone, just wanted to put together a quick video for you for what we're seeing with the S&P 500 futures, NASDAQ 100 futures, Russell 2000 futures. Plus, I put out a video earlier today about Bitcoin prediction based on what we could tell from some rays drawn from 2013 till 2021. And hours later, hours after recording that video, what I showed you with those rays is actually playing out perfectly, just completely textbook. So I want to share that as well, just because it really does help us decide what exactly we could see next for Bitcoin. So it's definitely not about gloating. It's about helping you guys with the services that I can provide, with the information that I can provide that can help you with your due diligence to make more money or save yourself some cash in the case that we happen to drop a little bit from there. Now, mind you, on Friday, I took out another position for TMF. As a matter of fact, took out an option position on that one, being that, well, what we see from TLT is a descending wedge with rising momentum, especially on the monthly chart, which is a really good thing. Now, mind you, I'll show the whole technicals on it. Also inverse head and shoulders. Basically, broke the neckline, broke the top trend line, and then also broke up above the 200-day. So for long-term treasuries, for 20-year treasury, looking pretty darn bullish. So I'm going to show you all about these charts, give you my take on what exactly we're seeing, what we could see, and where we could go from here. And you guys can catch my analyses and also see my trades at the Discord. Links in the description. Check it out. You can save, I think we're under the 24-hour mark for saving 50% off your first month's sign up. And I'll tell you what, if there's ever a time that you want that support, to have other traders out there and also a community of thousands of people there to support you throughout this process, reaching for financial freedom, really looking for that support during times when the market's selling off so much, it is the best community that I've ever found. We're all over there and we're showing you how to make money even in these down times. I know that I've posted my trade wins over there. You can also see those as well. And so, guys, let's get into the technicals on this stuff. So what are we seeing in the futures here? Let's first start off with Bitcoin, because this monthly chart that we're looking at here, you can see all the rays that I have drawn. And now, mind you, the only one that's drawn after April of 2021 is the one off these most recent peaks that you can see up here in the corner. And let me go down to the daily chart now, because where we currently sit right now, if I go down to the daily chart, there you go, you'll see it. We came down and we are currently touching this ray, but when I recorded, we were all the way up here at around 82,000. If we go down to the hourly chart, because I recorded this around noon Eastern time, that was this candle right here, which at a low price was 81,904. So that low price of 81,904, I said, watch below that we are going to go down and test that other ray. If we head that way, we should find support there. And if you can look and see on your screens where exactly we're finding support, it is exactly on that ray where you start to see that buying pressure come back in. All right, well, good, Dr. Stock. What exactly does that mean for us from here? Well, if we break that one, well, then we want to watch down below for what exactly could happen with that ray down there. And that one happens to be around 67,000. But these rays, you'll notice there's other movement happening besides just the rays. Well, I also showed that in my other video. I'll just quickly pop this up here. You guys can go and watch that video. Basically, where we're at right now is we have a fairly good knot of support that we're kind of tangled up in this area of support. Down below that is about 74,000-ish is where we find the support, which happens to coincide with these peaks that we have over this time when we had a fair amount of consolidation, fair amount of choppiness happening. If we break down below 74,000, that's when we can start looking for support at about 68,000 down to this ray. So we could hold up at about 74,000 if we sell down below the current ray that we're currently on. And then we have these Fibonacci extension values on here right around 74 down to the low 73s that we could also catch ourselves on. And if we fall down below that, we could watch more of these peaks that we have down here and also along this previous ray that I've already mentioned. So if I take those away, 74,000 happens to be right around here-ish, which only is about midway down. But if we do happen to fall down below that, the next place that we really catch ourselves will likely be, let me go a little bit closer. The next day over would put us down to 66,000. So 74,000 down to maybe 66,000. I doubt that would happen in a single day, but we'll see what tomorrow brings. And, there's a lot of talk of liquidations and stuff, which if we go to the futures market and look over here, you can see, and once again, this is the monthly chart. Monthly chart for the futures crossed down below 45 for the RSI. And that's not necessarily a great thing. That puts us into bearish territory. Even when we look at SPY, I think we're also down below 50 for that. And even if we went to SPX and looked at the S&P 500 itself, I think you'd still see us down there. Now, what I want to talk about before we move on from the monthly chart, because it does give us such a clean view, we have the 50-month just down below from where we're at right now. And if we look at the low price that we got on this at 4,832, so just off the bottom, that coincides with the peak that we had over here of 4,808. So just barely above this peak that we had in January 2022 from what we can see through this futures index that we have for the S&P. So keep that in mind as we look at this. I said that we want to watch for a bounce at that peak. So far, the futures are showing us that so far. Maybe we do bounce at that value. Maybe we do push down below it. Then we also have the July 23 and August 23 peak that you see in here as the next area to catch on. And that would coincide more with the 50-week that we have just a little bit further south, which can be an opportunity where we get some really good bounces in there. Hopefully we get some good news. Now, mind you, this is the bottom of the market in 2022. Over here, off the 50-week, this is COVID. I've talked about these things in other videos at greater length. You can go back through the history and can watch them. Let's get down to the daily chart to see what this morning's looking like, or tomorrow morning, I should say, is looking like as we look at the futures market. And you can see that long tail that we got so far, that right now that's that buying pressure, but that's that bounce that I was talking about off of the 2021 peaks. Maybe we still see that tomorrow when the market opens. Moving over to the NASDAQ 100, once again, this one dipping a little bit further south, because right now with a little bit of retracement back up, as we look at this, we're hitting that November 2021 peak. And if we look at the low that we have over here, it's very close to it. The low is 16,460, and that would be, let me see where the closing price was, 16,900. Boom, 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 boom. So 16,460, it happens to be right across the peaks of these candles over here. The wicks did penetrate, so they're kind of crossing over each other right now. But that's the sort of bounce that I was talking about, finding that peak that we had November 2021, or for SPY, January 2022. And we want to watch for that area for a particular bounce. And then once again, there's your July to August peak that we have. After that, just to talk about what happens after that. After that, we have this bottom that we have over here in October of 2023 would be the next thing. We still are up above the 50-week as we look at this. Going down to the daily chart, we are in well oversold territory, but you can see that retracement so far early in the hours that we have for the futures as we're looking at right now. It's about 9 o'clock Eastern time as I record this. So that futures market pushing us back up a little bit here. And really what we can look at tomorrow, right now we're down another 3 and another 4%. And when we go to the Russell 2000, just to take a look at these, once again, monthly chart. Now this only goes back to, there we go. First month, July 2017 is the first time that this futures index that we have here is being tracked. And it takes us all the way back to that peak in September of 2018. And you guys can see there's a very, very clear line right across the bottom of these right now at 1642, down from the 1759 that we're currently sitting at right now. So we actually took this bottom all the way down to the peak that we had in January of 20 before what we had happening with the COVID lockdowns and everything before that bottom that we had. So this could be an overreaction, but if we're also looking at hedge fund liquidations, we're looking at a further flight to safety. This is something that could exacerbate over time, and we definitely want to be ready for it. So if we look at the daily chart for Russell 2000 stocks, there we go. Looking once again at the futures on this thing, the volume is actually pretty darn high as we look at it right now from Thursday, from Friday, today, very early in this. We'll see what we get, but we're starting to get these long tails off of this that I think that bounce could be imminent, that we could see that sometime soon. Maybe we get that next liquidation day happening. Maybe this is that next gap down day. But mind you, in terms of gap downs, let me go to NDX. There we go. NASDAQ 100 index for this one. And you can see if we have 1, 2, possibly a third gap down coming up for us. The market does tend to fill those gaps eventually. I think that this is going to be a very rapid sell down from wherever we get that bottom coming in. I don't think it takes probably going to be 3-4 days before we see that at least a temporary bottom come in and we see that bounce happen. So far we have 2 days. I think Monday, maybe Tuesday, maybe. I think if we don't get a bounce on Monday, we get the bounce on Tuesday. And if it's neither one of those, then we really, really, really put an emphasis on Wednesday. I'd find it very, very suspect and very, very bad for us if we didn't have that bounce happening by Monday. We have a pattern of not usually having too long of a sell-off before having some sort of bounce come in. Right here, going back to February 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, you can see we had a little bit of a hesitation in there, sold off again anyway. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, a little bit of a bounce. There's 1, 2, 3, a little bit of a bounce. And so we don't often have just the day after day after day of just complete and straight sell coming off of it. It does happen from time to time, but normally there's a little bit of a give back as the market goes back and looks for where that ceiling is. But we definitely saw, if we go to TLT, look at the volumes that we have here as we made it up over the 200-day, candle above the 200-day, on strong volume. We broke over this neckline. So if we still open again tomorrow, I'm going to call this inverse head and shoulders confirmed. And if we do, we could be up to 101.57 for TLT, which is a bond market trade. And that could mean significant pain still coming for the stock market. And I said on the monthly chart on TLT that we saw rising momentum. You can see that from the low down in October of 22 that we've steadily been climbing up towards 50. We don't have that higher peak coming in yet, but we could have that coming very soon. Crossing up above 50 would be bullish then for the long-term treasuries. So if we see sustained pain, sustained flight to safety, we could see further demand happening for those long-term treasuries, TLT. And then, of course, that leads us to TMF. Let me go out to the daily chart on that for you. Hit the 200-day and then retraced. And honestly, I think that this being a derivative of TLT that likely relies on TLT in order to get its price, I think that hitting its 200-day had a lot to do with us selling back down and coming back down to retest the top of this trend line. And there's left shoulder, head, right shoulder on this inverse head and shoulders that we have. So when we looked at that, we have another trend line hitting at about 53. Now, if you want to know a price for this based off the head and shoulders that we have on here, let me turn off the magnet so I can do this easier for you. Take that up to the top of that. We're going to copy it. We're going to paste it. And then one last thing, drag it up there for you. If this is that breakout moment, that put us up to about $61 per share on TMF. If we have that sort of breakout happening right now, which is about $14, so 25 to 30% up from where we're at right now. I don't think that that's too bad if we were to see that sort of climb happening, seeing that movement take us up from just about, we closed at 47.18. If the futures are any story that we can believe, then tomorrow we likely go up even more from there. So we'll see what we get in the markets. We had a pretty much untouchable market to close on Friday with the weekend coming. I know that I did not want to do a lot with options over the weekend because everything I do right now is very short term and very aggressive. And that comes with its own risks, by the way. So with options, nothing to mess around with. They're already something that have a huge amount of leverage with them. And then especially if you do it on something like TMF or S with the Qs, T with the Qs, those really highly leveraged plays, you already have something that's already triple leveraged and super risky. And then adding options risk on top of that have the time risk, that have the volatility risk, all those things. Everything was just so darn expensive. I didn't want to do a lot with that. I took the time to do a little bit of dollar cost averaging, but not even a whole lot of that. Just that one TMF position, because I think that is still one that's going to outperform for us in very quick order. As a matter of fact, it turned out 60% myself profit on TMF from Thursday to Friday. We'll see what we get from Friday to Monday here. I'm guessing that there's also going to be something fairly profitable waiting for me there. We'll have Monday to open and we'll find out what happens as that takes place. But guys, the technicals that I have here for you, I'm telling you, I spend a lot of time putting these together, a lot of times learning about them over years and years and years by this point in time to make sure that everything that I talk about is completely solid and that we know where to find these supports, that we know where to find these resistances. I share them over at the Discord. I post my trades over there as well. So do the other panel experts, including Stockmo, Crypto Will, Tensei 808 is over there. And then just many others as well. Jordan Belfort's another one who's over there. At least that's the name in the Discord. So guys, link for the Discord down in the description. Use code word cash when you sign up. You got like less than a day to do that. Get you 50% off the first month of membership and the products and services. When you look at the list of things that are offered over there, you got the bread bot, you got AI tools, advanced charting software, other AI features that are over there as well. There's so many that I need to make a list just to be able to read all of them off. And like it can keep you there because there's just so much to offer, including the most outstanding community that I've ever had the pleasure of being a part of. And guys, there's also coursework if you want to learn to do these technicals, and you also want to learn how to trade using the bread recipe, and also if you want to learn about how to trade options, there's coursework for that down in the description. Use code word doctor when you sign up. If you bundle the courses, you save. And if you use code word doctor on that bundle or any of the courses individually, you'll also save a ton of cash there as well. And especially in this environment, who doesn't want to save that cash? And especially in this environment, join that Discord and get that community around you if you don't already have one. And I'll tell you what, you'll be glad you did. The support there is absolutely incredible. The knowledge base that's there, just as incredible, and the products and services that are over there as well. I mean, every single part of it is world class. So guys, thank you very much for watching. I am Dr. Stock, Doctor of Education. Remember, my friends, that learning is earning, and we'll see you next video.